Hey guys, Drifter here. Today I want to talk to you about some of my opinions about the minimap returning to Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and I want to talk about the M14 rifle, which you are going to see a lot of gameplay of today. If you'd like to participate in a community poll that I made, then the first link down there below is a link to a Twitter poll where I ask if the community prefers the radar on or off, and getting more votes on that would give us a more accurate gauge of what the broader public opinion is. Back on topic, Infinity Ward turned the minimap on during the last 2 days of the beta. So yesterday and today we've had permanent minimap on. The new minimap is what we're going to be calling it since it works a little differently than the old one. Shows friendly positions, but it does not show red dots of enemies even if they're shooting. This makes it much harder for you to just sort of focus on the minimap and chase red dots. Now, of course, if you have a personal radar or UAV going on, then you can see their dots and you can chase those dots all day long. But without it, it's a pretty blank minimap overall. It doesn't even show the enemies if you have visuals on them. Some COD games would do it where if you could like see an enemy, it will like auto tag and put them on the radar. It doesn't do that at all. Rather, it just shows the layout of the map, your position on said map, and the position of your teammates. The red dots are still on the compass on the very top of your screen, which to be honest I'm so unused to. I'm still not using as much as I probably should be. I wanted to use it a little bit more, I wanted to get more comfortable with it, but I still just haven't instinctively gone to looking at that compass yet. I mostly only look at the compass when I want to give a call out, PUBG style, like yeah, 120 degrees south or whatever, something like that. The teammates still have their outlines on. Some people said that teammates' outlines were turned off so that you couldn't see them through walls, but I just wanted to double check to make sure I'm not crazy. At least in my gameplay here, the teammate outlines were still on, which seems a little bit redundant, you know, unnecessary, which is defining redundant, which is a redundancy in and of itself, but I'm rambling. Overall, I think the community really liked this change of having the minimap back. It was a fair compromise between what the developers intended vision-wise for their game and what the community, who will be spending the money on it, wanted. And to be honest, after playing with it for a bit, I think I like it better too. The problem with no minimap is that I was very often confused by my teammates' positioning. I didn't really know where my teammates were. I could kind of see them through things. I could kind of gauge distance by the size of their body, but it wasn't super clear. And I was always spinning in a circle to try to figure out where my teammates are, and doing that is just a good way to die. Anytime you're not focusing on your flanks, you're not moving properly, you're not pre-aiming, it's just an opportunity that somebody's going to walk up and blast you with a shotgun or a deagle one tap to the head. So like spinning around to see where my teammates were every single time I heard footsteps was getting me killed a bit, because your teammate footsteps sound a lot like the enemy ones. I'm happier with the audio design now. I can at least hear footsteps of some capacity. It's a little bit annoying to me that teammates and enemies sound almost exactly the same, and teammates' feet do have to make some noise so that the team can have an understanding of how much noise they are or are not making. But the problem with this is if I was sitting in a building and I had no radar and I heard footsteps behind me, if I turned around to check to see if it was a teammate, I would not be focusing on the thing that I needed to be focusing on, and I could get shot from the front or from the side, or I could ignore it and pretend it was a teammate. It would be a 50-50 odds it could be that or an enemy. And the minimap also allows me to get all the information that I need in that capacity quickly and effectively. I can glance at the minimap, and in a fraction of a second, I can tell if that noise is a teammate. I can tell how close to me my teammates are positioned, what lanes they're holding, what direction they're looking, where and how they're likely to move. And it makes my decision-making process much, much easier and faster. The other minimap problem that it was supposed to help solve is map design. These maps in Modern Warfare are very busy, cluttered, vertical, asymmetrical. I'm sure you've heard all these words, and they're much more complex than any COD game that I can think of, even more complex than Call of Duty Ghosts. I'm learning the new maps over time and getting better at them, and especially getting better at the very complex parkour paths that are available, which I'll probably be doing a video on either this beta or when the full game comes out. But my experience has helped. I used to not really like Grozny Raid because it was too cluttered, but now I'm getting much, much more comfortable with it. But there's still a lot that I don't know about these maps that I haven't quite memorized, that I don't know offhand. And that's a whole lot that casual players won't know at all. They'll just load in and they'll be super lost. They'll have no idea what's in what direction, the 4 flank paths, the doors you can and can't open. And there's just a lot of stuff going on with these maps that players who play only a couple hours a day will not be able to learn at even remotely the same speed as anybody else. The minimap is a good way to keep me and them from getting lost, remembering my options, my paths, understanding my position relative to my teammates, and I think that the minimap makes it easier for me to navigate the map as a whole, which brings me to my next point. Minimap on weekend has seen much more aggressive gameplay. The first 2 days were pretty much dominated by camping as the #1 playstyle. However, with the minimap on, there was a lot less camping and a lot more people running with SMGs and shotguns and more aggressive play. That may be due to getting more unlocks on the weapons so that you can change your sprint out or ADS speed. That may have to do with people getting more comfortable with combat or getting bored with camping. But my personal belief is that the minimap helped a lot with the pace. Having the minimap made people feel comfortable enough to push out, and when they're not constantly double checking sounds to see if that's teammates or not, they're more comfortable pushing even if they don't have red dots to chase on the map. I will admit that a part of me was sad when the map came back. I had just gotten used to playing without it and relying on my ears a lot more and, slower gameplay, more tactical, blah blah blah. And I also think the game is just a little bit prettier without the minimap. The minimap that they've designed is kinda ugly. It's not the prettiest according to the community, and it's not the best in my opinion. It could use a little bit of polish to look nice. And the game is just a little bit less immersive with the map kind of guiding you around a constant GPS. However, even though it's less immersive and therefore realistic, it's more of a game. It's gamified more. It's a proper game that you can play. Maybe we just didn't give it enough time with no minimap. Maybe we needed more than 2 days to adjust. Maybe the community would have adjusted over time and preferred it. But to be honest with you, I had more fun with the minimap on. I can definitely see the other side of the story. I can understand where the devs came from and what they wanted. But when it comes down to my personal levels of fun, the game was more fun to play with the minimap on. And I want to hear your opinion on that by voting in the poll that I linked first down there in the description. You don't have to agree with me. I'm not trying to juice the polls to get numbers that force my will upon something. That doesn't do me any good. I want to see what you guys think. So vote if yay or nay if you want to. And our next topic today is the M14, which you've been seeing a lot of gameplay of so far. This weapon is kind of actually not that bad. It definitely starts off bad. The iron sights are incredibly hard to use. The weapon kicks like a mule. It has massive player flinch issues, where for whatever reason the flinch is doubled or tripled when you're using a marksman rifle. If you're aiming down sights at somebody and they shoot you first, or I guess, at all, really, then you're going to have more flinch than I've ever seen in just about any COD game, to the point where there's absolutely no hope in you winning that gunfight. I am assuming that the levels of flinch being this high are a bug and not a balancing factor, because they are definitely comically way too high. And if I remember correctly, I think that some of the gun perks and attachments were flinch reducing, so it's possible we're supposed to kit the gun out and turn it into something different. But the flinch is really bad, the iron sights are really bad, the recoil is really bad, the M14 has really bad hip fire, it has a slower aim down sights time, pretty slow strafing speed when you're aim down sights, slow sprint out speed. Pretty much every single thing about this game is rough until you start unlocking some attachments. The attachments really flesh out the M14. They make it much stronger in whatever way you want. You can do more damage and more range, higher bullet velocity, you can do suppression, optics. Optics are super important because the iron sights are kind of duty, and the weapon's strong enough to be a sniper rifle in its own right. So the optics just allow you to really take advantage of its crazy damage, which is the next and last thing I wanted to talk about. So all of that stuff about the M14 is bad, and it's true, and it sounds like a terrible weapon, but holy crap, does it ever deal insane damage. This is one of the higher damage marksman rifles that I have ever seen in any Call of Duty game. It's a 2-shot kill at any range. Literally 2-tap any range anywhere on the map, or 1 headshot to kill at any range, no matter how far away they are, no matter what cover they're behind. If you dink somebody in the head with the M14, they are going to die. So if you're accurate, especially with your headshots, you can just delete people with this gun. You can two-tap them, you can insta-headshot them, you can get picks like nobody's business. Personally, I had a lot of fun baiting people into close quarters combat and then just headshotting them and deleting them in one shot. It was super fun for them to watch them die, and I can just only imagine the tilt and child rage tears and wanting to uninstall their game. Long-range two-taps are very effective. I will admit that the Mark 14 was very hard to use. This is not an easy weapon to get your hands on. It's not an easy weapon to get a feel for. However, the damage is so incredibly high that I feel that damage alone compensates for all of the other downsides of the weapon, and there is a real reward for using it. It does feel very satisfying to kill with, and I hope that more of you give the M14 a try. Actually, I kind of hope you don't, because I know I'll just get mad when I get headshotted and picked really fast, but at least check it out. See, I think you'll have a lot of fun with the M14. Guys, that's all for this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something useful. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out.
I'm a brave mother who chose not to vaccinate her child. This is Skylar. He'll be 11 in October. If I could go back in time, I would choose not to vaccinate again.